Good evening, welcome to tonight's swing club. Now, as I said, forget the car keys and concentrate on the markets here. If you've got things to share, do put it in and type it up there. Let me know what you're looking at and we can discuss it. We can have a view as a group. It's not all my ideas. It's I'm sure you've got your own plans, etc. So, usual evening, Michael. Evening. Usual plan really then is to look at these markets, is to look for retracements, maybe breakouts towards the high side, maybe complete reversal. So just looking at that as a sort of a guide. We'll talk about those when we see them effectively. I'm going to start off looking at these markets now. I've done some analysis on the sentiment as well, which I hadn't done this morning, and I just made sure I got that out of the way. It's a miss of me not to have done it, so I'm going to talk about that as we go through. I'm going to just run through the majors here because it's well worth looking at those, and then we'll look at any cross pairs. As in timing, looking for probably about 30 minutes, so there we go. We'll see how we get on, maybe less if we can. I know you've got busy lives to get on with. So the euro dollar still largely looking in a downside. Now, before I go on any further, actually, on the euro dollar, key factors this week is in the news events that are coming out. There are a few key factors we should be looking at this week. Apart from, of course, it's Valentine's Day, just for you guys that have forgotten already. Evening, guys. So, well, welcome. Good evening. So important factors coming out in the news this week. Let me just bring my news service on here if I can. It's just get the right one. Okay, I was just looking at some other analysis here. So this week we're out the way today. So tomorrow we got some UK data. Pretty key, with which could create a bit of a movement in the pound there. But that's all out 7 o'clock. So it's before I'm going to be doing anything. In fact, it's probably well before I'm doing anything, because the news that we've got coming out in the afternoon is this really important data coming here, the inflation data for the US. Now, it seems that whatever is happening at the moment in the US, in terms of good figures, good non-farms, everything that's coming out very positively, statements saying they're going to hold interest rates for quite some time yet, which shocked the markets. The dollar's still not having much of a go at it. It seems to be quite sort of downtrodden in a way. So we'll see what happens. It might be just more news that sort of creates a bit of a spark if it comes out better than expected. So just for expectations, or setting yourself up here, look for anything that comes out higher than these numbers here, and we could see the dollar moving. Now, personally, I think largely it's well worth waiting for that. Even some of the cross pairs can get affected by that news. We've got the UK data on Wednesday, so really maybe ruling the pound out a little bit. It's ugly anyway. There's nothing personal. Lots of speakers through the week. Australian employment data coming through as well there, so plenty of data there. UK GDP coming out. It's the Q on Q, so okay, so it's the quarterly figures, much more important there as well. So lots of UK data coming through here. I'm just clicking through here quite quickly. As we run into Friday, we've got the PPI, so more inflation data for the US. So there's numbers coming out which could affect our market. It's just an important thing to take into account, but in particularly tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. Right. So with that in mind, and with the euro is still in a downward trend here. Now, if you come down to 4 hours, yep, sure, it's put a higher low in and everything, and it's a bit ugly, but it's not actually broken the original trend lines. It's structurally partially broken with the higher lows here, but it could be an ABC correction and roll over. And so there's no as much, I'd rather be on the short side, but I've got no setup at this stage. So I'm going to go through that quickly. The pound, I should say, on the sentiment on the euro, by the way, has dropped quite considerably over the week as well. And so there was quite a chunk of negativity within the last figures. Also, the pound, same thing. It's negative on the sentiment. It switched from being positive to negative. I was waiting for some things to happen here for a breakout, maybe. At the moment, I'm going to stand aside of this. It did just flash up there at 7 o'clock this morning, but didn't hold on. Yep, so it was on the 6 o'clock bar here, but it flashed up and rolled over. So that's a 4 hour. It's all right, 4 hourly bar. I was just looking at. Right, okay. So I'm going to leave the pound. There's a lot of data coming out this week. Probably best left completely. US dollar yen. Can't see much coming out on that at all. Just rechecking the news as I run through this. A pretty quiet week from the yen's perspective, and often has very little data that really comes out. It's more what the US data is doing than the yen, but of course that could affect it. It's technically it's put a higher low in here. We got the breakout last week of those prior highs there. That's really what I was looking for, a similar picture to be happening with the pound. It's consolidating at this stage here, maybe waiting for tomorrow's data, and again we could get a decent break at some stage of the highs here. Whether it's worth actually putting a couple of buy stops into it above the news, it's always a bit risky in case the news just comes out partly good and partly bad. And what you will see then for the dollar, we might see the dollar push up, then just suddenly come straight down. So again, bit of patience, but trend. What I'm really looking at trends here as opposed to trying to get entries on a lot of these because of the news. So yeah, looking for a continuation there. Sentiment wise, it's changed. No, it's not changed at all. The yen, it's all bearish. Whichever pairs you're looking at, the yen itself is bearish on the trend. Aussie dollar. Yeah, tomorrow's news will be priced in for sure, but it's the surprise which hits the market, and what we're looking at really is just how it reacts to that. The Australian dollar, this is, regardless of the lots of negativity, it seems to be doing okay and holding up here. It's sort of broken out. I drew this little wedge on it this morning. It's just unreliable. I was actually looking for more to the downside potentially, but that never set up. And when I looked at the pattern here with this wedge, they're very unreliable price action, and well, as you can see, it's broken to the upside there anyway. But I'm still looking at this. I'm still looking at this big old head and shoulders here, which hasn't worked itself out yet. And it might be as the week progresses, I can get something in on the breakdown here. So this consolidation, if we can get a bit of a movement on that, it could be further downside. But we are certainly in a downward trend now. We should skip that one. So there is some possibilities there. US dollar CAD. US dollar CAD, the sentiment is quite neutral to goodish from the big money. It's running into the CAD. The market's barely moving, and I don't have any setups as it sits at the moment. It needs to do something. I was looking at okay, it did a triple top in the end, or maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's got another run to go. But it's a bit stalemate at the moment. I would like to see it break down the lows here and continue to the downside, but I think this could well stay pretty stuck as it is and unfortunately consolidate a little bit more. New Zealand dollar. Now we've seen some action here. New Zealand dollar's become popular. Now, interesting, the news came out last week that they might be even considering an interest rate increase, which, bearing in mind they were the first to start increasing it in the first place, and they're still looking at potential increases. That changed my mind from we were in the I was in a previous short, which I'd been in since the 16th, way back here somewhere. So I've been sitting in there all of that time, but it was a game changer for me when I saw data like that coming out on Friday, and today, well, it's saying that they'll at least remain at these the high levels, as they call them high, the very modest levels, but they expect them to stay there for some time. High relative to zero, I suppose. So it's come off a bit today, but I'm expecting this potentially to still push up further. As I say, the sentiment, the money started moving it into it, and that was dated last Tuesday, so the big money's already got the sniff. The Swissy's been looking softer. US dollar here been pushing up. I'm just looking at the potential for this to continue. I don't have a trade from where it's sitting at the moment. I was looking for different factors, and it might be that something comes off the lower time frames, but we may as well wait for the news again, of course. But maybe once that's out, the news is out, we could get something a little bit more, or a reversal again. But it's structurally completely changed here. It's taken out this trend line. It should have a trend line drawn across the bottom now. It's got the higher low in it. It's looking more positive at this stage for the US dollar against the Swiss here, of course. Okay, crosspair we're in, or I'm in, is I'm still sitting short on this Euro CAD, which was taken on the 31st, or 30th, 31st, 30th, I can't remember. It's back then. Way back. It's stalling. As I said, the CAD itself's not really moving massively, and it's drifting, and it's fine. I'm still waiting for it to come down much further, but that's not one to go chasing into. Sitting in the Euro New Zealand at the moment, which as a short bet, it's a day trade, more of a day trade, a short-term swing. But again, this does look like it's got the scope to roll over some more, perhaps. I don't know. I haven't really got I think it's a bit late for the swing that might have sat in there as we saw the break of the low there. This may be a bit late otherwise to try and get into that. Okay, other cross pairs, Euro Yen is a typical. Now this has pushed out, eventually pushed out last week. It's consolidating. You got the two opposite currencies that are going to be sitting against the dollar and flying one way or the other on the inflation data, and it's really which one flies. The yen is the weaker of the currencies in terms of the expectations for interest rates low, etc. I mean, it's still negative, and they're still not putting dates in terms of when they might be tightening the system up a little bit there. Euro, they're still talking about rates staying basically where they are, so not a great deal. I'm still looking at it. I think if we get a break from the news here, the euro should be beating up the yen, and we got, as I say, this flag pattern. We could be running back up to these highs here. Just it's a patience game though. I can't, as I say, I'd love to say, well, we got a pivot swing or we've got something sitting in there, I'll be looking to buy it tomorrow or something, but got to wait for the news this week. And that's pretty much the story. The euro pound still hanging in there. Euro looking soft against the pound here. I'm not really wanting to bet on this as it sits. It's still sitting in previous support there. If we come out of this, you can see it's a sort of a support area around that 85 area anyway. You'll see it pivots around that level quite a lot. If it starts breaking down, maybe it's a bit of a go with, but nothing chasing. Oh, hi Martin. Okay, well it's all recorded, so if you've gotten a bit late, you'll catch the earlier stage. It'll be once I've clicked the button at the end, you'll catch up. Euro Aussie. Okay, I'm about done really here, because most of these then are quite choppy. I'm not looking to try and trade any of the other yen pairs specifically at the moment. I had been looking at the Aussie CAD. This is one that has the scope to push down. This was really looking off the sort of intermediate time frame here, the 4-hourly time frame. If we get a swing in this, it's started coming off a little bit now, but I was looking for it earlier on today. I was actually looking for it to break the daily pivot earlier on, but to give me the trigger, but sit and wait on that one. So there we go. That's what I've got. If you guys got anything, do give me a shout. Whilst I'm waiting for you or anything, I will look at a couple of other things. Crude is being sold like a good one on the sentiment, from a sentiment point of view. The big money's coming out of crude, which the market's going slightly counter to that at the moment. But again, it's really horrible. I mean, just there you go. There's usual 2 o'clocker. We did get some movement from it, only for it to consolidate. It's just it's the time I like to trade it. It just, at the moment, we're very tight, to put it simply. I'm really looking at this quarterly pivot to see if it holds it here or whether we'll get a breakdown. But at the moment, it's in a sort of a range, probably an ascending channel effectively at the moment. What else we got? Gold. This was interesting. Gold seen a medium. Oil actually had a major. Actually, I'll show you the numbers on oil. Yeah, had quite a tasty sell-off here. I was looking at oil, and if you look at the big money here, managed money, yeah, 45,000 plus 15, 60,000 contracts effectively swinging towards the short side of things. That's quite significant. So maybe the big money knows something we don't at the moment, but technically I can't go against what it's doing. Technically it's still short term. Yeah, as I say, with the higher lows coming through there, it's still short term upside potentially there. Okay, the Aussie CAD. Let's just go to the Aussie CAD. Looking at this, we did look at this. Let me just read all what you've written there. Aussie CAD downside from below weekly pivot. Oh, okay, you was looking at it as well. Yep, so you're looking at the same thing there, Dean. And Euro New Zealand, yeah, I've got a short on that at the moment, but that's more of an intraday type swingy position. No, it's not looking particularly great, but we get a bit of funny old action through the Asian session, so I just wait and see what happens. As it's semi-swing, Euro New Zealand, where are you? Just rolled down too far my list. There you are. As it's semi-swing, you see it actually. I'll come down to the lower time frames. It's fine at the moment. It did do this sort of double bottom, higher low came through. It rallied up there, but it's been really selling since. If you look at the euro, you see it selling. The sentiment's weak on it. The New Zealand dollar, the sentiment's stronger. When you look at the trend that was sort of kicking here with a lower high, as I said, it's not really a proper swing entry as such. It's a intraday holder for me, and see if it can brush down a bit further. But that's all I've got at the moment, so not a great deal here. As I said, if you guys have got anything else, do fire away you want to look at whilst I'm here. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a day. I'm just checking my notes. I was really looking at. Oh yes, yeah, I didn't get to look at the S&Ps, did I? Let me just do the S&Ps for you. So now the S&Ps, we've seen this sort of new. You having a laugh, Dean? Let me just get the S&Ps here. So we've seen it break the 5,000 area, etc., and it's continuing to push up. One word of caution, as I said, I wouldn't be looking to short this. It's a market that's pushing up, and well, it can carry pushing up. I'm looking for a swing long on it at some stage, but I need it now to retrace. The word of caution is we've seen a massive swing in terms of the sentiment. Let me show you. It's important you understand where this comes from. So we're looking at the E-minis here, and I can do William. So we've seen this swing from the asset manager here. Look, 22,000. It's a 52,000, 53,000 swing to the bear, the negative side. This is always bullish, so don't get carried away with the net position between the two here. But the weekly figure, we've gone from being positive last week to quite, I'll say last week, the week before last, to quite a negative holding now. Now whether this is just hedging, what it might be by the big money, but they're generally not hedgers, so it's just a word of caution. Ethereum, I can have a look at Ethereum for you. On my crypto market, Ethereum US dollar. It's been taking a bit of a pusher as well. I mean, I realise Bitcoin's been having a good old time. Let me just get my eye in on Bitcoin, what it's actually doing. That has broken nicely now. I was looking at it this morning. It's pushed on through. Ethereum, well, it's heading in the same direction at the moment. I have no sentiment figures on here apart from all the sentiment figures you'll see is greed at the moment is coming through. But I can understand with the markets running as they are here. I can understand the push up there. The dollar's not really pushing particularly good. If you're looking at the dollar as the other side of these currencies, then there's a chance they're going to push up for now. CAD yen, okay. So I'm switching backwards and forwards. So it's your choice now. It's like pop pickers out there. CAD yen. So you've been looking at the CAD yen. CAD yen broke through its level. Really, is there any benefit trading this CAD yen as opposed to the euro yen or the dollar yen? I guess is the question, because the euro yen looks like it's a similar-ish picture but with much more volume into it. And of course the US dollar yen with even more volume sitting in there and doing exactly the same price action, having broken through here. So Martin, I never mind covering it a second time anyway, but really I think with some of what's happening here, CAD yen, is it offering anything else? It's going to be, as I say, with most of these currencies, they're going to get an effect. If you were looking at trading them to miss any dollar action tomorrow, well, I think it will come through anyway. It will hit all of the markets, some more than others. CAD's got some strength-ish, yes. And to be fair to it, it's higher than the other markets. If you look at it on a weekly basis, it's already back up to its highs. It's already up to the unknown. It's a long time. And if you look at the bigger picture here, yep, maybe it could go, Martin, but better. But I'm just sort of looking at the higher volume trades. These lower volume can also be very fickle at times, although it's okay what he's done. But the picture is largely similar, but it might just top out here. It's having a bit of a slowdown here. It's put the shooting star in, etc. Okay, is there anything else? I checked the Ethereum, Euro NOK. Yeah, having a laugh on the Euro NOK. What have I done with that? I had it somewhere. I think I binned it. That's what I did. I don't trade these sort of the minors against the majors really, and I can't even see it for now. It's not even my list. So, guys, I'm going to leave it around about here. I'm going to wish you a good evening, unless there is anything else. If there is, just put comments on the bottom there, and I'll comment afterwards and give you some comments. So, I think the best thing is to be patient, wait for the data to come out from the US tomorrow and Friday. Remember the PPI on Friday, but I'm less interested in the PPI, and much more important is the CPI tomorrow. But they are both inflation figures. They could both be moving things. We do have retail sales on Thursday as well, which would just show us give us a taster of the sentiment as well of the consumers. Right, guys, see you in the morning. Thanks for your attendance, and I'll catch you later. As I say, put any comments on the bottom there if you've got anything you want to add. Take care. Bye for now.